Great. What's up, gamers again? I guess duelists today. Today we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And not even Master Duel. We're doing the common charity format of the TCG. It's something that I've been pretty invested in since the format first got announced, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. But today I just want to go over my tournament run, where I got first place actually. Let's see if we can go into the brackets and announcements. You can see right here, undefeated, 3-0-1. With the highest score, first place. So this was my deck, Lair of Darkness. Um, it's a it's a unique control deck, honestly. Most of the stuff is tainable, so it doesn't like you don't really need to play the Solemns with most control decks. Not maybe not most, but a lot of them do. Um, and it's just distributing your opponent's monsters for cost is just not something that a lot of decks are prepared to handle, especially in Common Charity, where the power level of the format a little bit lower than like the standard TCG. Um, for example, like Lunalite is the best deck, which is pretty powerful when on like um, as they have like really like, good OTKs and a fantastic rank 4 toolbox. And I would say that they're like an okay deck in TCG. They're the best deck in Common Charity. This, for by comparison, not the best deck in Common Charity. Although I think it's a little underrated, but I think it's all right. It just provides a very unique form of interaction that most decks aren't really equipped to handle. If you go over the card by card, 3D shifter. Um, oh, also for those that don't know, Common Charity just means that it's Yu-Gi-Oh, but you can only play cards that have been printed common rarity. So no rares, super rares, ultra rares, secret rares, no gold rares, for example. Like just common. It has to be common. So Dimension Shifter, very good hand trap in today's meta, especially last week's meta for the ban list. It was great in tier limit. But here it hits a lot of common decks. It hurts Lunalite. It hurts Loki. It hurts Megalith. Pretty well, I guess. It's just it's a really solid card, and I'm not really affected by it at all. I don't really go into the graveyard ever. Uh, you'd be hard pressed to find a card that deals. Like, gives back one card, gives back Orochi in the side deck, and that's about it. So yeah, D Shifter, great hand trap for me. Usually a turn ender, and if I can just end my opponent's turn with one card, I go in second. I can usually set up pretty well. Next up, Arima, the Wicked Warden. This is your searcher for Lair of Darkness. This card to add Lair of Darkness to your hand. The whole deck revolves around this one field spell. I'll go over it more when we get there. Actually, I'll do that now. Lair of Darkness turns all monsters in the field to dark. And once per turn, if I would tribute an opponent's, or if I would tribute a dark monster, tribute a card to activate any kind of card effect, I can tribute an opponent's card instead. Um, so that's really nice. It turns all of your cards would be like 1-for-1s or like 1-for-2s or 2-for-1s into like going positive for you instead. And then it special summons tokens to the players whose turn it is that you like activated the effect. It's a weird card. It's also a mandatory effect during the end phase. Very strange effect. But yeah, Arima searches it. You can discard it, or you can tribute a card to add a Dark Mantra 2000 or more defense. You can actually add D-Shifter if you're going first. Although actually not going first. It only works going second. But it's still very funny. So you go and you tribute an opponent's monster, add the D-Shifter. You can have that for your opponent's turn. That never doesn't really come up that often. Comes up way more on the side deck where you can search the Radiant, but still very funny that you can do that. Otherwise, it just draws a card. Yeah. Next, Heart and Soul of the deck, Lilith. Lilith is just a quick effect tribute. You can reveal 3 trap cards and send one to your field. Usually, most decks that play this card do it to search like 3 of any one trap they really need. Like I know for example, Giant Skyhawk's like, Fluffle deck um, has I think plays Lilith to search Necrofusion. Um, but here you basically use it as just a quick effect removal spell that your opponent can't really respond to. It's like let's say they do something that would get rid of your Lilith, and you go, all right, chain Lilith, you tribute whatever monster they have on the side of the field, um, and then it should be for cost, so they can't respond with that monster. Otherwise, even if they do, they respond with something else, and you go, all right, well, you're already getting rid of Lilith anyways, so you just like, basically it's 3 for 1. Lilith, crazy card. It's, it is what makes the deck tick, pretty much, other than the Lair itself. Extravagance. We don't really use the extra deck in this deck. You see, you got an extravagance board. I actually never went into the like these monsters, and I'd rather have like free doer maybe, or like, just some kind of some rank fours whenever I econ and take it. Or I really needed a Vespinato earlier in the tournament, which you'll see, which I actually had in here before, but I ended up taking out this little toolbox. It's not worth it. Not definitely not worth it at all. I'm putting the Vespinatos back in after this. Yeah, extra. Um, you don't really need your extra deck. It's just for super quality. And if you're, um, chances are you're not going to banish all 3 of the super quality target that you want in the matchup. So it's pretty good. It's great. It's just pot of greed. Obviously, pot of greed's great. If people aren't really playing Ash Blossom in this format too much, next we get terraforming. The Lair is the deck. You need to find Lair. So just having like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways to see it in your opening hand, actually even more to get captured as well. So like 12 ways to see it, very important. Um, yeah. Super Poly, Lair makes everything dark, which is pretty cool. Um, I guess also you could change the 3 XDs out for Mud Dragon in the swamp, and that could also work because making everything dark, is Lair does, puts them all the same attributes. But anyways, yeah, Lair makes everything dark and then lets you tribute your opponent's dark monster, which they all are, for cost. And that's a really unique form of interaction. It's just not like present. Oh, also, gotta change the, the token real quick to the Lair of Darkness token. Here it is, baby. All right. But yeah, who probably fantastic. I think this deck makes better use of Who probably than any other. Even though there are a lot of like dark decks, most decks only play as a side deck. Not everything is dark. Whereas your best like target is the starting venom. This we got Econ, one of the best going second cards. Being able to tribute your opponent's card and then take their other. Um, it's crazy. You go, your opponent goes like -3 in that interaction because, or I guess -2. But it's basically like the equivalent of Pot of Greed, or it's better than Pot of Greed because you only go +1 in Pot of Greed. It's crazy. Your opponent loses 2 cards, you gain like, you lose not. You lose the econ, but you get their card. So yeah, Lair of Darkness, we went over that before. Start and solve the deck. You want as many ways to find it as possible. Next up, we got the viruses. I'll go over the viruses next. This is probably the worst virus, but it still comes up pretty often. You want it to for trap trick reasons. So, full force virus, you treat 2000 or more defense, and then all monsters your opponent controls and in their hand, and that they draw, with 1500 or less defense, get destroyed. So, all the viruses kind of do the same thing. This one is for attack. This is for defense. And then Eradicator is for stealth and traps. I would do Eradicator like higher, but there's not a ton of high impact like spell cards like right now, which you really want going second or going first. I mean, so it's not as good as it might be in the TCG. Uh, Deck Dev is definitely the one. It matches up super well in the Lunalight, which is again the best deck. The stat lines in Lunalight, pretty much all of them get hurt by Deck Dev, um, except for I think Wolf, which is like the one that lets you fusion summon from grave. Right. But yeah, the viruses they go hand in hand with Lair. All of them, like the reason they're all common is because they're printed in the Lair structure deck. But yeah, if we get Heavy Storm Duster, cards are just like the best thing you can be doing pretty much at all times in this format. So, being able to destroy your opponent's back row is pretty important. I'm only playing 2, and I have the King Vistas in the side deck. Um, you definitely could bump this to 3. I would not, I would not fault you if you did that. I just wanted it to, just so you can trap trick into it. Usually, if you can top 2 back row, you're in a pretty good position. You don't really need all of them. Um, And trap trick, it lets you go into any of them. Any of these trap cards, they're all at more than one, so you can like, fill everyone you need in that situation. It's really nice for the end phase of your opponent's classes. You go, all right, trap trick for whatever I didn't have. Um, and then like Ballista Squad, normally in a PTG, would be bad card, like just not good at all. But with Trap Trick, when instead of making it a 2 for 1, you make it a 1 for 2, makes it so much better. You tribute your opponent's monster to get rid of like whatever. Sometimes the most important part is just being able to tribute. And then Metaverse is obviously get into Lair again. You can do it on your opponent's turn when they're not expecting it. Especially like let's say you just draw a bunch of trap cards, you set 5, and then your opponent thinks they like, oh, well, let's say they twin pisters, and you go, all right, and hit Metaverse. All right, Metaverse into the Lair of Darkness. You're good. And next will be and the last we got Gozen. Um, Skosen is honestly not that great right now. Most of the top decks, or I guess the two of the like the best two decks in my opinion, are Lunalight and Predaplant, which are both dark decks. This really bad into them, but a lot of the other like rogue decks and mediocre decks are not dark. And we still see a lot of those. Effectively, right now, the commentary format is kind of like locals. People just kind of play what they really enjoy, and and Lair of Darkness turning everything into dark. You go to match. If they're not on a dark deck, I just can't play anymore. And the extra deck is just a super poly speed. Um, Sorry Venom is the best one. This one works into Lunalight and Prime Plant, and Hero sometimes they have like Dark Claw. This is the other Hero one. This Lunalight one, nothing super fancy here. These three never came up. Don't play them. Um, Hypothetically, like if you want an OTK push, this is the way to do it. But you're not really OTKing. It's more like a if you happen to have two Liliths on the field and they have 3,000 life points, this is how you kill. As opposed to Lilith, which can only do 2,000 damage, because its attack becomes 1,000. So, not worth it. Definitely go with like a rank 4, because you're more likely to take that with Econ or like Vespinato. You know, that's way more likely. But I don't want to get into replays. So I actually missed round 1. I stepped through it. Luckily, so did my opponent. I showed up within like 20 minutes, and my opponent showed up after the tournament. So yeah, so this is round 2. I'm starting out 1. I did kind of spoil it earlier. I'll just let it play out. So I can't really do much to my opponent. I'm just getting the combo off. Not super card advantage like heavy, but still pretty decent. It's gonna be a pretty good end board. It's gonna be, I believe, Dweller and Redoer. So here I want to pause. All right. So in standby phase, they just go ahead and blind Dweller. It's the best, probably. They did get a spell off of the Redoer, which, again, that's pretty good. That's the best thing they could have gotten, honestly. It's not going to end up mattering. I guess you'll see. With that econ, it's pretty nice to be able to stop that. Let's just play. Um, so if you get rid of the 6, I do draw the Lair. Um, so that's why them like getting a hidden spell off of Redoer isn't ever gonna come, right? So then I can go Lair of Darkness and basically have to respond here. If they don't respond to the activation of Lair of Darkness, I now have priority. I can go, alright, Econ, tribute the Redoer, get rid of Dweller. And that's exactly what happens. Or just not get rid of it, take it. But I can't really do much from that because I have a handful of trap cards. Here, again, I can just combo off and get my token from the end phase that I forgot about. City, again, they don't do anything on summon, so I have free reign to just use the deck dev. They get a token here, I can go Lilith. From here, the game is pretty much out of control. My opponent cannot do much. Um, like they're on such low card advantage, even with the Wolf here, that's pretty good, but not going to be enough. Here, just have some viruses. Actually, end up getting the full force. But yeah, this game's over. There's not really much to say about it. Um, but I'll let it play out, just because. I guess we have to. So they do end up desiring I think they just forfeit pretty much from here. Oh no, they don't. Okay, that's right. Also, actually, yes, they do. So I have the metaverse set, and I just reset the reactivate Lair of Darkness, and from there it's just scoop. So for here, I actually decided to go second. You see, it's I put in the positions. I'm expecting my opponent to go first. I have the Grid Maju and the Gizmet package in. To hopefully just get an OTK out of nowhere if they set up like a suboptimal board. But they actually make me go first, and I can't really do much with that. So I do have the D shifter, which hurts them pretty big amount, but not quite enough. So I just get a layer here. So they take my monster. Yeah. I was just saying about this one. I meant to do that in attack, and my opponent was with that. So from here, I can attack for a lot of damage. Um, like almost lethal. I need a little bit more damage, um, but not quite. I need two more cards, but unfortunately, they did not set any back row. So if they set any back row, I could have Twin Twister to with the Econ, and 800 more damage. It would have been the OTK, which is what I was hoping for. Um, that clearly did not happen. So you'll see, I actually elect not to use the reader. I didn't want to. I didn't want to know if I hit a monster. You know how it goes. Um, yeah. So my opponent just doing standard blue and light stuff here. I'm also just gonna skip into this one. Um, basically, this took a long time. I see if I can check the log. Um, so yeah, this game right now we're at 34 minutes, and my opponent continues to combo off for a long time. This one's gonna go to time. There's a time in like in game two, and so we don't really have enough time to finish it. It was a great set. I wish we could have played game three. I would have had like, free reign to choose whether I was going first or second, but unfortunately I didn't. Um, and then next one's up against Amazonas. My opponent on I'm opponent or a sniper. Um, I do win the die roll here, and managing to like set free, which normally isn't that good, but it's pretty good when I have D shifter as well. That's another kind of interaction, another floodgate, effectively. They do um, the twin pistons. They do. I'm lucky enough that they hit the trap trick as well as the virus. It's actually very important they hit the virus here, not super poly. I would not be actually. This is not mattering very much. We'll see. That's the metaverse there. Um, I mean that I wouldn't be able to do anything or use both trap cards, but my opponent just summons Swords Moment and passes. It appears they're bricked on pots. From here, I'm still not really quite sure um, what this deck does. Um, yeah, I could have just super polyed in battle phase and none of this would have happened, but I wanted them to use the fusion spell that they added before, like the secret arts. In battle phase, I was going to chain super poly. I would have made it so I couldn't attack, but they ended up holding it, and so I take a little bit extra damage. I think 27 damage instead of none. But here I get to go deck dev for this is a huge swing. They lose like I think here's like three cards. I think four cards actually. This is the Swordswoman, the two monsters on field, and the King of the Swamp. Um, yeah, that was a huge swing. They don't get their search, but unfortunately, I can't really do much from here. So we're just gonna at the point where oh sorry, we have to go through a bunch of rulings here just because this deck's dumb, you know, it happens. Um, yeah, once I get the Lilith, a draw for turn was the best thing I could have had. Um, and now my whole engine is online. They can go that, but I just tribute it for cost, and I get more. Like, I just get more advantage. Every turn is going to keep happening. You'll see. They get a token at the end, but then I go, boom, pop it. And I can just, and this is for I think 3700, which isn't quite a two-turn clock. Um, but it's almost. Oh yeah, it is a two-turn clock. And I do get to use the like drawing effect thing, as you see. They do have another war chief, which is one of the best draws they could have had. but it's not gonna. I didn't read here. I didn't read what its onslaught did, and I popped it. It turns out they get to send it back, but again, it didn't matter because they had super play, or I had super play. And from here, it's just GG. Concept to attack. Yep. And we realized my opponent forgot to side, so we just did a draw and then reset it. So from here, I have a pretty sick hand. My opponent, they're making plays. They make the Ward Chief, or no, Amazon Empress. Um, Empress is pretty good. It's not the best card. It's gonna do some piercing and then floats, but normally the floating is pretty solid. Um, Switch for a battle or these opponent's card effect. However, against my deck exactly, that does nothing. Everything that they do it goes for cost, not card effect. So you'll see here, um, they try to do it, uh, and it's just funny layer moment again. And I'm just gonna take it short slow here. I'm not gonna go for the eater yet. I'm gonna wait till I have an actual lethal push to go for the eater. Um, I can they can combo off as much as they want. So here I just get rid of their or their your cards. And they can't do anything. So again, I don't really. I guess this is lethal on the board. Um, this is 24. This is 17. This is 28, and that's 1,000. It's, it's just enough. And my opponent's cards don't really do much. Um, I actually sided out most of my traps, and they sided in the Royal Decree. So just unfortunate there. They just didn't realize that I also had spells that could do it. But yeah, not a particularly close match. I think my opponent, I think they kind of bricked game one because they swordswoman like beat down game one. So I've seen this deck go off harder than it does. But yeah, and here they had two secret arts, three secret arts actually. That's not a very good hand. And the Royal Decree, which wasn't really doing much against me, especially even if it does like negate my viruses, I still get to tribute their cards. So Royal Decree is not very good right now. And then only one of the pendulum, so couldn't even get like a good pendulum summon push here. Yeah. You're getting Aura Sniper. Unfortunate. I think that was just some unfortunate hands. Um, yeah, a good match still. I had fun. Right, and finally, we got Diamond Dude. This is the final round of the tournament. I win the die roll again. I'm just feeling it. I'm drawing extra. Not sure. So it's fun. I thought this hand was fun. I thought it was going to be like a funny haha. Like, oh yeah, this hand's it's so bad. It's so and then I just set forward with Lair of Darkness. That's pretty funny. Apparently, it sure seems like it. I'm sure they meant that totally what's the word seriously and not ironically at all. Here my opponent's just they're gonna be comboing off of Pen Plant. Um, not much. I don't really know what to do. But yeah, I was a little bit confused on the how they activated grief. I didn't realize you could just it's just a send, which is make it's a free fusion summon. Um, I did have the heavy storm duster there for the super probably, which would have been me. That would have just been really bad, but they didn't have it. So I get a trap trick, and they see the eradicator, and they're just like, "All right, they're at next game." And they go first this time. I don't have any interruption, so I just let them go off. And they end on a pretty solid board, as you'll find out. It's double Dragastapelia, which is soft one per turn, as well as the trap card, if I can find it. Um, so I actually, yeah, actually not the trap card. There's the trap card, yeah. So credit planning. They actually do get to do the same thing to me. Um, they get to tribute my Dragastapelia for cost. Unfortunately, you'll see. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're just gonna have to go to game two. Um, this is the easy place so I couldn't find to cut it. Yeah, My opponent is going to combo off. They're going to end up ending on double Dragon Spelia and the trap card. And then this one lets you tribute your opponent's cards for cost again instead of summoning themselves. So I got two probably, get rid of those, and they're going to chain the top card, put a counter on it, which normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, but because they have removal, they don't even want to. Okay, so let's try and pronounce it. For the plant, Drosophilum Hydra. Drosophilum Hydra gets to tribute my Dragosphelia then for conflicts. So here, there's gonna combo off more. I'm actually gonna make sure that they don't get to choose and summon first. But they're gonna get rid of my Lair. Unfortunately, I do have the trap trick to the metaverse, so I get another one. Um, they actually don't get the tokens here because it's not the Lair that was faced on field. However, I'm kind of at a stalemate too because my deck is super reactive. And as long as like, my opponent isn't doing anything, well, I'm not doing anything either. So this is a weird play. So normally it's pretty bad. You pretty much know it's a bid bliss. If Predator Plant is ever setting something like face down, it's probably going to be the bid bliss as the highest defense, and they want it to go to grave. But being able to radiant there, I can still think like even though it gives them a +1, they lets them have advantage. It's still like pretty good for me just because of what it ends up like. I think to beat it for my deck, and they get rid of the cost anyways. So they actually did have the Merly in hand, which is kind of annoying. They actually we had some stuff there. I forgot about the trap card, a great grave effect. But it didn't end up changing either of our plays. So we just go in, we attack, um, and Diamond Dude uh doesn't draw anything for yeah, Royal Decree for turn. But again, like I said before, Royal Decree doesn't do a whole bunch against my deck because I really just want to be like getting me like tributes for cost as opposed to the actual effects. And the effects are good, but not like most of like I guess this is the most important part, but it doesn't stop everything. Um, yeah, so I do end up going in like 3-1, uh, 3-0-1. Sorry, I do end up winning. But here's the whole deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. I thought it was pretty fun tournament, even if my opponents did not think so. Good games to everyone I played, and I hope to have more common charity content coming soon.